Have you ever felt like life is just pure chaos? Like no matter what you do, you keep repeating the same mistakes, ending up in the same painful places again and again? You wake up each morning hoping today will be different, but somehow, it feels like you're stuck in a loop, the same frustrations, the same disappointments, the same restless feeling that you're not really living the life you want. You're not alone. In this fast-paced modern world, we're bombarded with noise, social media, endless opinions, constant demands. It's so easy to lose ourselves, to let emotions hijack our decisions, to react instead of reflect. Before we even know it, we're running on autopilot, chasing quick fixes instead of true purpose. But what if I told you there's another way? A timeless philosophy that's been helping people navigate the storms of life for thousands of years. It's called Stoicism. Now, don't let the word scare you off. It isn't about being cold, or emotionless, or turning into a stone statue. Stoicism is about building a calm inner strength, learning how to control what you can and letting go of what you can't. It's about living with intention, purpose, and real resilience. Imagine facing life's setbacks, job loss, breakups, failures, harsh criticism, and instead of collapsing, you stand firm. Imagine being able to look at your emotions, your fears, and your desires, and not let them run your life. That's what these 50 Stoic lessons are all about. Life will always test you. People will disappoint you. Your emotions will try to pull you in every direction. But through these lessons, you can learn to respond with wisdom instead of impulse, to act with courage instead of fear, and to build a life with fewer regrets and more meaning. So today, I invite you to pause, take a deep breath, and join me on this journey. Let's explore how we can transform chaos into clarity, turn setbacks into stepping stones, and finally take back the power to live the life you were meant to lead. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Have you ever wondered why we jump to conclusions so quickly? Why, in a split second, we label someone as bad or good, decide that a situation is terrible or amazing, without even stopping to breathe? It's like our mind is on autopilot. Someone cuts us off in traffic, we instantly think they're a jerk. We get an unexpected email from the boss, we assume the worst. Our friend replies late, we think they must be mad at us. But what if I told you that this instant judgment is not only unnecessary, it's dangerous? The Stoics believed that the first step to true inner freedom is learning to delay your judgment. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The winds are howling, rain is pouring down, but instead of running, you just stand there calmly, observing. You don't decide whether the storm is good or bad, you simply watch it unfold. That's what delaying judgment looks like in real life. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, used to remind himself every day, don't be quick to label things as good or bad. Don't call it a tragedy. Don't call it a blessing. Just watch. Because most of our suffering doesn't come from the events themselves, it comes from how we judge them. And it gets deeper. Even beyond delaying judgment, the Stoics taught us to treat our first thoughts like strangers. That voice in your head that screams, I can't do this, or whispers, they don't respect you, it's not your best friend. It's a stranger knocking on your mental door. Think of it this way, if a random stranger knocked on your front door and yelled, you're worthless. Would you invite them in, offer them tea, and believe every word they said? Of course not. So why do we do exactly that with our thoughts? Every thought that pops into your mind hasn't earned the right to guide your actions. It's just a guest, you can choose to let it stay or politely show it the door. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Stoics didn't just prepare for the chaos of the world, they prepared for their own inner chaos. They practiced something called premeditatio errorum, which means premeditating your own errors. Before starting the day, they would ask themselves, how might I mess up today? Maybe I'll snap at someone when I'm tired, or avoid a difficult task out of fear, or seek approval instead of standing in my truth. By admitting these possibilities up front, they took away their surprise power. It's like walking into a battlefield already knowing where the traps are hidden. You can step over them calmly, instead of falling face first. Try it tomorrow morning. Before you touch your phone, sit for a moment and ask, where am I likely to slip today? Once you see it, you can prepare. You can create a plan. And when the moment comes, instead of saying, how did this happen again, you'll say, ah, there you are, I knew you'd show up. Another powerful practice is to talk to your desires in the third person. When you feel a craving, for junk food, for attention, for revenge, don't say, "I want this." Instead, say, "The part of me wants this," or "The child inside me wants this comfort." This simple language shift creates distance. And in that distance, you find power. Instead of being swallowed by your desires, you become their observer. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this constantly. Even as emperor, he had urges and temptations. But by seeing them as separate voices, he could say, "That's not me. That's just a passing urge. You're not every craving you feel. You're not every thought that flashes by. You are the one watching. The quiet observer. The master of the house, not the wild guests." And finally, there's one subtle trap that ruins even the strongest warriors: internal applause. You know that little voice that says, "Look at you. You resisted temptation today. You're amazing. You're better than them." At first glance, this seems harmless. But it's a dangerous ego trap. The Stoics warned us, once you start congratulating yourself internally, you become addicted to your own praise. You start acting, not from virtue, but to keep that applause coming. Real strength, real virtue, is silent. It does what's right, and moves on. It doesn't need a pat on the back, not even from itself. Think about it: when you hold the door for someone, do it because it's right, not because you want them to say thank you. When you stay disciplined, do it because it aligns with your values, not because you want to tell yourself a heroic story later. If you can master these 5 practices: delaying judgment, treating first thoughts as strangers, premeditating your own errors, talking to your desires in the third person, and silencing your inner applause, you build a kind of unshakable core. You become the calm in the storm, the lighthouse in the dark, the mountain unmoved by the wind. So, my question for you is this: which of these habits do you struggle with the most? And which one will you start practicing today? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's grow stronger together, one calm breath at a time. Have you ever caught yourself lost in a moment of anger, saying things you didn't mean, or acting in ways that left you full of regret afterward? Or maybe you've been paralyzed by fear, frozen in place, watching opportunities slip through your fingers? Here's the thing: emotions aren't your enemy. They're just signals. But most of us have never learned how to read them properly, let alone transform them into something powerful. The Stoics believed that the key to mastering your emotions isn't about fighting them directly, it's about learning the opposite emotion and shifting your focus there. When you feel anger boiling inside you, instead of feeding that flame, replaying that insult, thinking about revenge, what if you shifted your attention to patience? Imagine seeing your anger as a workout for your patience muscle. Every time you hold back, you get stronger. Think of it like standing in front of a heavy punching bag. You can either punch back and exhaust yourself, or you can step aside, breathe deeply, and learn to stay calm even when it's swinging your way. When fear whispers, "You can't do it," study courage. Watch how children run toward adventure, not away from it. Or think of that one friend who takes risks and lives fully, not because they're fearless, but because they've learned to act despite fear. Jealousy? Instead of drowning in comparison, study contentment. Remember, someone else's success doesn't take anything away from you. Life isn't a zero-sum game. This practice of focusing on the opposite emotion isn't just mental trickery. It's rewiring your habits, slowly, day by day. It's building emotional balance, like a craftsman shaping stone into something beautiful. Now, let's talk about something even sneakier than raw emotion: admiration. We're trained to admire success. The big houses, fancy cars, millions of followers, viral fame. But the Stoics warned us to reverse our admiration. Instead of just looking at what someone has, ask yourself, what did they sacrifice to get there? Maybe they lost their peace of mind, their time with loved ones, their health. Maybe they wake up every night in panic, constantly anxious about losing it all. It's like seeing a duck glide across a pond. It looks so calm on the surface, but underneath, its legs are paddling like crazy. When you admire someone, don't just see the highlight reel. Imagine trading your entire life for theirs, including the sleepless nights, the hidden fears, the heavy compromises. Would you still want it? Next time you find yourself wishing for someone else's perfect life, pause. Reverse that admiration. Find respect for those who stay true to themselves, who remain kind in chaos, who live quietly but deeply. Those are the real heroes. Now, emotions love to tell stories. A friend doesn't text back? Your mind writes a whole drama. They must hate me. I must have done something wrong. Everyone rejects me. But the Stoics teach us to question the story, not the event. The raw event is neutral. Your friend didn't text. That's it. No meaning attached. The suffering starts when you weave a story around it. When something bad happens, ask, what is the actual event? What story am I telling myself? Is this true? Or is it just my mind playing tricks? It's like watching a scary movie alone at night. You hear a noise in the kitchen, and suddenly your mind jumps to, it's a burglar. I'm in danger. But in reality, it's just your cat knocking over a cup. Most of our emotional pain isn't from what happened, but from what we think happened. This practice can feel uncomfortable at first because it forces you to take responsibility for your narrative. But over time, it gives you incredible freedom. Next, let's tackle something we all crave, comfort. Comfort feels so good, right? Soft beds, endless Netflix, food delivery at your fingertips. But here's the hard truth, comfort is not always a reward. It's often a trap. When things get too easy, we soften. We lose our edge. The mind becomes lazy, the body gets sluggish, and the spirit becomes fragile. Imagine a sword that never touches the grindstone. It starts to rust. Stoics believe that true peace comes from strength, not from avoiding discomfort. Voluntarily choosing small hardships, like taking a cold shower, waking up early, saying no to distractions, these actions keep you sharp. Comfort is like a siren song. It lulls you into a false sense of security. And before you know it, you've traded your dreams for a couch, your potential for a remote control. Ask yourself, am I using this comfort to recharge, or am I using it to hide? Finally, remember, view comfort as bait, not a trophy. It's okay to enjoy comfort, we all need rest and recovery. But don't worship it. Don't let it dictate your choices. When you feel drawn to comfort, pause and ask, what would my highest self choose right now? Would they stay in bed, or would they get up and build that dream? Would they binge another episode, or would they face that uncomfortable conversation they've been avoiding? When you train yourself to choose growth over comfort, you transform. You become the kind of person who can stand in the middle of chaos and remain still, who can face fear and still take action, who can build real joy instead of chasing shallow pleasure. So, let's recap these powerful ideas. Study the opposite emotion instead of feeding the negative one. Reverse your admiration, see the true cost behind the success. Question your stories, not just the events. Be suspicious of ease, it might be weakening you silently. Treat comfort as a test, not a prize. These aren't just philosophies to read once and forget. They're daily practices, like brushing your teeth for your mind and soul. Imagine how different your life would look if you applied even one of these consistently. Imagine the peace, the inner freedom, the strength you'd build day by day. So, here's my question for you. Which of these lessons speaks to you the most right now? And what small step can you take today to start living it? Drop your answer in the comments below. Let's learn from each other, grow together, and become unshakable. Thank you for being here, and remember, you are not your emotions, not your comfort, not your stories. You are something much deeper, and it's time to reclaim it. Have you ever noticed how much of our stress doesn't come from big, dramatic disasters, but from our daily interactions with people? It's those moments, when a friend disappoints you, when someone says something rude, when you feel ignored, when your kindness goes unnoticed, that slowly chip away at your peace. Let's be honest. We often expect too much from people. We want them to understand us perfectly, to be kind, to always show up, to never let us down. But here's the Stoic truth, most suffering in relationships comes from expecting people to act outside of their nature. Think about it. You don't get mad at a lion for roaring, or at the rain for falling. Why do we get mad when someone acts exactly as they've always been? Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. He didn't say this to become cynical or cold. he said it to become prepared. So, assign roles to people based on their behavior. The friend who always cancels plans last minute? Assign them the role of unreliable, and stop expecting them to show up like your most dependable friend. The colleague who gossips? Assign them the role of the talker, and stop expecting them to protect your secrets. This doesn't mean you judge or condemn them. It means you see them clearly, so you can protect your peace. And when the noise outside gets too loud, when the world feels like it's pushing and pulling at every part of you, remember the practice of inner immigration. You don't always have to leave the room to leave the room. You can stay physically present but mentally withdraw. You can choose to retreat into your inner fortress, where your values and calm live untouched. Seneca called this withdrawing into yourself as far as you can. It's not about avoiding life or running away. It's about choosing not to be dragged into the drama, the arguments, the chaos that doesn't deserve your energy. Picture yourself at a loud dinner party. Everyone's gossiping, shouting over each other, arguing about politics. You don't have to shout back. You don't have to prove anything. You simply sip your drink, smile, and stay rooted inside yourself. That inner quiet is a superpower. But what happens when someone insults you directly? When they say something that cuts deep, something that makes your face flush and your heart pound? Most people react instantly. We fire back, we defend ourselves, we try to win. But the Stoics saw these moments as training grounds. Every insult is a chance to strengthen your control. Every offense is an opportunity to become unshakable. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Instead of becoming the insult, you stay calm. You choose who you want to be, regardless of what they throw at you. Next time someone offends you, imagine yourself as a mountain. The wind can howl, the rain can pour, but you remain unmoved. This brings us to another powerful practice, the art of the short reply. Not every comment needs a detailed defense. Not every provocation deserves a speech. In a world obsessed with opinions, arguments, and constant noise, there is tremendous strength in saying less. Imagine someone criticizes your work harshly. Instead of explaining every detail or arguing your worth, you say, "Noted." Or simply, "Thank you." That's it. It disarms people. It preserves your energy. It shows that you are not easily shaken. The wise know that words are powerful. The more you speak, the more you risk saying something you'll regret, or revealing too much. Similarly, when you meet new people or start a new friendship, avoid rushing to label them after one encounter. Observe before you judge character. A single moment, a single mood, a single bad day does not define a person. Think about yourself. How many times have you been misunderstood because of one comment or one slip-up? Give others the same grace you hope to receive. Watch how they act over time, especially when they have nothing to gain. Character is revealed not in big moments, but in small, repeated patterns. Another common trap? Expecting wise behavior from those who haven't done the work. We get hurt when an impulsive friend acts impulsively, when a selfish person acts selfishly. But why? Did we really expect them to suddenly become wise sages overnight? Set realistic expectations. Don't demand depth from someone who lives on the surface. When you accept people as they are, you free yourself from constant disappointment. And even deeper, consider this: fire people in your mind before they fail you. This doesn't mean cutting people off coldly or becoming heartless. It means removing the fantasy version of them from your mind. Stop assigning them loyalty or trust they haven't earned. That friend who only calls when they need something? Stop expecting them to support you in hard times. The colleague who takes credit for your work? Stop expecting them to advocate for you in meetings. When you lower your expectations to match reality, you reclaim your power. Now, let's talk about how much we share. The world today pushes us to talk more, share more, post more. But Stoics taught, speak less than you know. There is power in mystery. When you hold back, you protect your energy. You don't expose your thoughts to be twisted or misunderstood. You move with quiet confidence instead of shouting for validation. Think of the strongest people you admire, the ones who move silently, who speak sparingly, who act instead of talk. Their silence commands respect more than any speech ever could. And what about people pleasing? We've all done it. Smiling when we don't feel like it, saying yes to avoid conflict, twisting ourselves into knots so others will like us. But every time we please people at the expense of our truth, we lose a piece of ourselves. The hidden cost? Your energy, your authenticity, your freedom. You become exhausted, resentful, disconnected from your true self. Instead of living for approval, live for alignment with your own values. Say no when it's true. Say yes only when you mean it. Finally, remember the quietest, most powerful rebuke: silence. You don't need to shout to show disapproval. You don't need to fight to prove a point. When someone gossips and you refuse to join, your silence is louder than any lecture. When someone crosses a line and you step back without a word, your absence is a clear boundary. Silence forces people to reflect on their own actions. It holds up a mirror without you having to lift a finger. So let's recap these 10 powerful Stoic lessons for communication and relationships. Keycap 1: Assign roles clearly, and stop expecting people to act beyond their nature. Keycap 2: Practice inner immigration, protect your mind even in chaotic spaces. Keycap 3: See offense as training, not a personal attack. Keycap 4: Master the art of the short reply. Keycap 5: Observe before judging character. Keycap 6: Don't expect the unwise to act wisely. Keycap 7: Mentally release people before they fail you. Keycap 8: Speak less than you know. Keycap 9: Study the hidden cost of pleasing people. Keycap 10: Give silent rebukes, let your calm be your loudest answer. Imagine how your life would change if you practiced even one of these consistently. How many conflicts would dissolve? How many disappointments would vanish? How much more peace would you carry inside? Your relationships don't have to be a battlefield. You don't have to be constantly defending, explaining, or proving. You can stand firm in your values, speak with intention, and move through life with quiet strength. So, which of these lessons do you feel called to practice first? Is there someone in your life you need to release expectations from? Is there a conversation where you can choose silence over reaction? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's learn, grow, and become unshakable together. Thank you for being here today. And remember, your peace is yours to guard. Don't hand it over so easily. Have you ever wondered why the simplest tasks can feel the hardest? Why folding laundry or cleaning the kitchen feels like climbing a mountain, while we can mindlessly scroll on our phones for hours without a second thought? Here's something powerful the Stoics understood deeply: how you do the small, ugly, repetitive tasks reflects who you truly are. Anyone can show up for the big moments, the promotions, the awards, the spotlight. But can you scrub the floor beautifully? Can you take out the trash with presence and care? Can you write that one small email with the same energy you put into a big presentation? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to do everything as if it were the most important thing in the world. Because to the Stoics, every moment is a chance to practice excellence. Every small act builds the foundation for your big moments. Imagine a sculptor who chisels every tiny detail carefully, even in places no one will see. Why? Because he knows the truth: discipline is a habit, not a performance. And discipline starts before you're weak. Most of us try to set rules when we're already exhausted, emotional, or overwhelmed. But that's like trying to build a ship in the middle of a storm. The Stoics believed you must create your rules when you're strong, so they protect you when you're weak. Write them down when your mind is clear. For example, when I feel like quitting, I'll wait 24 hours before making a decision. When I feel angry, I'll take a walk before responding. When I'm tired, I'll still stick to my basic commitments. These are not restrictions. They are life rafts for the moments when your emotions threaten to drown you. One of the most fascinating Stoic tests is what I like to call the cold room test. Picture this: you step into a freezing room. Every part of your mind screams, "Get out! Go back to warmth." But you stay. You breathe. You observe how your mind tries to escape discomfort. This isn't just about enduring cold. It's about learning that you can survive discomfort. You realize that most of your suffering is mental. The stories you tell yourself about pain are worse than the pain itself. Cold showers, fasting, hard workouts, these are modern versions of the cold room. They're reminders that you are stronger than you think, that comfort is not your only option. Which brings us to an uncomfortable truth: choose discipline over motivation. Motivation is a mood. It comes and goes like the wind. If you rely on it, you'll accomplish very little, because on the days you don't feel like it, you'll quit. Discipline is different. It's a decision. It's a commitment to yourself, regardless of how you feel that morning. Think about it: the most reliable people in your life are not the ones who are motivated every day. They're the ones who show up no matter what. Be that person for yourself. A deeply sobering practice in Stoicism is the daily rehearsal of death. Sounds dark? Maybe. But think about it this way: when you remember you might not wake up tomorrow, suddenly that argument loses its weight. That hesitation to chase your dream feels silly. That small act of kindness becomes urgent. Memento mori, remember you must die, is not meant to terrify you, but to wake you up. How would you live today if you knew it was your last full day? Would you spend hours mindlessly scrolling, or would you call that friend? Start that project? Say, "I love you"? This awareness helps you find joy even in struggle. When you face challenges, instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "What is this here to teach me?" Hardships are the gym for your character. The Stoics didn't see struggle as a curse, they saw it as a necessary resistance to strengthen the soul. When you train yourself to find joy in discomfort, you become unstoppable. Another essential tool: seek silence. We live in a world addicted to noise, notifications, endless chatter, constant input. But your mind needs space to breathe, to digest, to reflect. Silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journals, not to impress others, but to hear his own thoughts clearly. You don't need to move to a mountain cabin. Just 5 minutes of silent reflection each morning can change everything. What about your desires? The Stoics constantly warned against being slaves to unnecessary desires. We're surrounded by marketing telling us, "You need this new gadget to be happy. You need this new outfit to be worthy. You need this new experience to be fulfilled." But in reality, the less you need, the freer you become. Practice cutting back on what doesn't serve you. Ask, "Do I really need this, or am I just avoiding discomfort?" Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. When you cut away what doesn't matter, you make space for what truly does. And when you remove distractions, you learn to enjoy your own company. Most people fear solitude because when we're alone, we face ourselves. We can't hide behind noise or busyness. But imagine turning solitude into your sanctuary. Time alone becomes time to create, to heal, to discover who you really are without the world's expectations. It's in solitude that ideas are born, clarity is found, and confidence is rebuilt. Lastly, let's talk about forgiveness. We carry so much unnecessary weight: grudges, past resentments, old wounds. Forgiveness isn't saying, "What they did was okay." It's saying, "I refuse to let this poison live inside me any longer." When you forgive, you free yourself. You reclaim your energy. You step forward lighter, stronger, clearer. Let's review these powerful practices. Do even the smallest, ugliest tasks beautifully. Create rules for your weakest moments while you're strong. Embrace the cold room, learn to endure discomfort. Choose discipline over motivation. Remember your mortality daily to focus on what truly matters. Find joy in struggle, see challenges as teachers. Seek silence, hear your true self. Cut unnecessary desires, simplify. Enjoy solitude, transform it into strength. Forgive, free yourself from old chains. Imagine a life built on these principles. A life where you're not at the mercy of moods or impulses. A life where you're free from chasing endless desires, where every small act reflects your character, where each day feels urgent and precious. What would you start today if you truly believed tomorrow isn't guaranteed? What would you let go of if you valued your peace more than your pride? You don't need to become a monk or abandon society. You just need to start small. One ugly task done beautifully. One desire questioned. One moment of silence embraced. So, which practice will you start today? Drop it in the comments. Share it. Make it real. And come back to this video whenever you feel lost or overwhelmed, because this path is not about perfection. It's about progress, presence, and peace. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to grow. You are stronger than you think, and every small choice you make is a step toward your strongest self. Stay steady. Stay silent inside. And keep walking. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. When was the last time you paused, really paused, and felt your breath, your heartbeat, your presence in this exact moment? We live in a world that feels like a never-ending storm. Notifications buzzing, bills piling up, relationships demanding our attention, dreams asking us to chase them faster. It's like standing in the middle of a highway with cars rushing by in every direction, and all we want is a moment of quiet, a moment to feel whole again. But here's the hard truth: life will always be chaotic. There will always be unexpected crises, heartbreaks, moments of deep uncertainty. You might lose people you love. You might fail at things you gave your whole heart to. You might wake up one day and feel completely lost. And that's okay. Stoicism isn't here to erase your challenges. It doesn't promise you a life free of pain, setbacks, or loss. In fact, the Stoics would say that wishing for such a life is unrealistic, and it's precisely this wish that causes most of our suffering. Think about it: how often do we get upset because reality didn't match the story we built in our heads? We thought we'd be richer by now. We thought we'd find the perfect partner. We thought our friends would always understand us. And when these expectations collapse, we crumble with them. But what if we approached life differently? What if, instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, we focused on what we can actually shape: our responses, our thoughts, our choices? This is where Stoicism shines. It doesn't teach you to suppress emotions or pretend to be made of stone. It teaches you to observe your emotions, to understand them, and to decide if they deserve to control you. Imagine someone insults you. You feel that hot rush in your chest, the urge to lash out, to prove them wrong, to defend your pride. But in that exact moment, you pause. You ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this reaction aligned with the person I want to become? Most of the time, you'll realize it isn't. And by choosing not to react, you reclaim power, not over the world, but over yourself. That's the real freedom Stoicism offers. Not the freedom from external events, but freedom within. The ultimate goal isn't to float above the world untouched or indifferent. The goal is to move through life with clarity and courage, to act with intention rather than impulse, to remain steady when the world tries to shake you. Can you imagine how powerful you would feel if no external circumstance could dictate your inner state? Your partner leaves you, you feel pain, but you don't collapse. You lose your job, you feel fear, but you don't freeze. Someone criticizes you, you feel a sting, but you don't abandon your values. Because your foundation isn't built on their approval or your bank account or your social media likes. It's built on your character. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors, ruled a vast empire while dealing with betrayals, wars, and plagues. Yet, in his private journal, never meant for anyone else's eyes, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So, how do we build this strength? We practice. Every single day. In small ways. When we choose to wake up early even when we don't feel like it. When we choose to listen rather than shout in an argument. When we choose to forgive rather than hold on to bitterness. When we choose simplicity over endless consumption. These choices add up. They build a mind that is calm yet sharp, a heart that is open yet strong, a spirit that is peaceful yet alive. Stoicism isn't a one-time achievement. It's not a badge you earn and hang on your wall. It's a lifelong journey, one that demands humility, patience, and courage. You will fall. You will react impulsively sometimes. You will forget your own advice. And that's okay. Because the Stoic path isn't about being perfect. It's about returning, again and again, to your principles. It's about reminding yourself daily, I can't control what happens to me today. But I can control how I respond. And when you keep choosing that response, over time, you become unshakable. So today, as we reach the end of this journey together, I invite you to take a moment and reflect. Where in your life are you still trying to control the uncontrollable? What emotions keep hijacking your peace? Who or what have you been giving your power to, without even realizing it? Write these down. Sit with them. And then, gently, begin to reclaim that power. Remember, the ultimate goal is inner peace, not external perfection. It's about living from a place of reason, not reaction. About walking through this chaotic, unpredictable world with a steady heart and a clear mind. Imagine a life where your peace can't be stolen, no matter what storms arrive. That life is possible. It starts inside you. And it starts today. Thank you for sharing this space with me. Thank you for being willing to grow, to question, to look within. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone you love. Drop a comment below and tell me, what part of this journey resonated most with you? What step will you take today toward your inner fortress? And remember, you are stronger than you think, wiser than you know, and more capable than you've ever imagined. Stay steady. Stay present. And keep walking forward, one intentional step at a time.